Hello,
Yes.
everybody. I am so excited to invite Mike Mandl from Austria. And he is a super special person. He's been writing very, very extensive book to share about Shiatsu, Eastern medicine. And I am so grateful to have Mike. And at our gathering, he's going to talk about meridians, maps of the soul. It's so exciting. Meridian is not superficial things. It connects our soul to soul. I am so happy to have Mike. Mike, please tell us how you started your journey.
Yes. First of all, thanks a lot for the invitation. Really looking forward to it, and I hope I can contribute something to your network.
Yes.
So yes, I'm from Austria. I'm an Austrian Shiatsu practitioner, and my journey into Shiatsu started very early, more than 30 years ago. And back then, I was living on a small farm. We had goats. So basically, I was a farmer hiding in the mountains. That's what I wanted to do back then. So it was kind of a post-hippie community where we all worked together to sustain ourselves. And as we were a community, a lot of people came by, visited our farm, and so I talked to a lot of people. And then one guy came to our farm, and I asked him, "So what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing shiatsu." And I just heard the word shiatsu, and something made click inside of me. I cannot describe it in any other way, but it was like, there was the thought, okay, I have to do this too. Like I had no idea of shiatsu back then, but it was just hearing the word. It was like, that sounds interesting. I want to do that. So, and that was a very funny story because that word and the idea triggered me that much that I left the farm within 2 months. I quit everything. And I moved from the most beautiful part of Austria, like in the middle of the mountains. I went to downtown Vienna. I just had my backpack on my back, and so I went to the Shiatsu school from Thomas Nelissen. He was a Dutch guy, and he worked very closely together with Shizuto Masunaga. So he was a direct pupil of Masunaga. And I said, okay, I want to study with in the best Shiatsu school then. So I just came from the train station with my backpack, and I inscribed in the Shiatsu school. That was the first thing I did. And I can remember the young Mike in the Shiatsu school. So, okay, now I start with the training, but where can I sleep? And what can I work? So this was just number one. But so basically, it might sound very funny, but it was kind of a calling. So I just followed the calling, and I started with my Shiatsu training in Vienna. And after finishing my training, I worked very closely in the school with Thomas Nelissen. So we worked very close together for more than 25 years. And then when Thomas retired, I basically took over the school. So I'm the owner of the school right now. We are one of the biggest schools, I think, in Austria, definitely, maybe also in Europe. We are one of the biggest schools. We have around 100 students on our school, and we offer a full-time training. So we really want to go with the students from point A right to the finish, and we do a lot of stuff. We work together with hospitals, so every one of our students has to do hospital training, intense hospital training, where you work in a hospital, you work together with doctors and stuff like that. And so I still enjoy my journey very much. Of course, I'm the director of the school, and I do a lot of educational stuff around Shiatsu. But still, I'm a full-time practitioner, so I work every week with my clients, which I think is very important because you have to nourish yourself. And yes, I like to write books. So
Yes,
I'm very
tell us
happy.
about your book.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful.
Next one will be coming out also for the UK and the US market in February. We will maybe talk about it later because
Yes.
during my Shiatsu evolution, there was one point where I thought I want to know more. And so I started also training in TCM. So I did the full TCM study. I also went to China to work in the hospitals of Chengdu with acupuncture and herbal medicine, just to get more background for the method of Shiatsu, because Shiatsu actually, if you look back, Shiatsu is a very young method. So and so I was curious. What are our roots? What are the roots of the method Shiatsu? And then you have two directions. And one direction is that you go into the traditional Japanese medicine, but on the other hand, you also have a lot of influence from TCM, especially the Shiatsu Masunaga developed, integrating the meridians. So I thought maybe I can find my roots in China I was looking for. But so after a couple of years of TCM, they were very exciting. I liked them a lot. But then I went further on to Taoism, to study Taoism, because I think Taoism is like the base, especially for traditional Chinese medicine, of course, but is the base for a lot of Asian philosophy in general. Because from Taoism, we have influences on Shintoism as well, and from traditional Chinese medicine, we have influence to traditional Japanese medicine, and of course, influence back. So I ended up with Taoism, and this is the subject I'm most fascinated right now, because it involves you as a person very much. So you have to do a lot of your own practice, your meditation, your Qigong. And this adds a lot for me to my interpretation of Shiatsu, because through the training, the energy becomes very much alive. So you get a very direct experience of all those dynamics. And in Taoism, they have also maybe older concepts of the meridians, which I personally found very interesting. They call the meridians the heavenly streams, like the streams that come from heaven. And so there is one saying, and I think this is a very beautiful one. And they say the meridians, they are like the root of our soul. Like our soul is kind of a tree, and the meridians are the root of the soul, to get a connection to the body. And I think that's a very beautiful image, because the meridians, I think we have the best bridge between our body and our psyche. It's the best bridge to explain so many connections, phenomena, and how the mind influences the body, and how the body influences the mind. So I think we can be very proud in our work to have the meridians, to such a powerful tool, especially also for our clients and doctors, to explain those connections.
That's so true. That's so true. So beautiful. And how did you come up the title of your book?
Yes, so that was the idea, like the roots of the soul. But the concept is more or less like this. So if we are born, like when we are a small baby, like every baby has all of the muscles, but still a baby cannot walk. So all the muscles are here, but you have to develop. You have to develop certain skills. You have to develop certain connections. And there is one view, and I stick to this view, that we are born with our whole energetic system, but as like with the muscles, we have to develop our energetic systems. So yes, the idea of every meridian is already here, but only through growth and development, every meridian comes alive, comes into its power. So there is a developmental stage in the meridians, and this stage is very similar to the organ clock we can use. Like the organ clock, for example, starts with the lung, and so our developmental cycle as a small baby basically also starts with the lung. It's the first step when you're born, and you cut the connection to the mother. The lung becomes alive. So we take the first breath, and the first breath is like it's the start to incorporate our body. So the lung has to be the first meridian that becomes vital and strong, so that we can sustain ourselves with energy, that we can stay alive. But it's not only these bodily functions. So in my view, every meridian represents a very basic life principle we have to learn when we grow up. So it's more or less about life principles. And the first principles we have to develop is how can we create our own energy through breathing and eating? How can we sustain ourselves? So you have the lung, then you have the large intestine, then you have the stomach, and then you have the spleen. Those are the four first meridians that really have to develop. And if you have children, you can see this a lot, because it's all about breathing, eating, and letting go. So this process takes 6 months to maybe 1 year. Especially the mothers will know the spleen takes a long time till the baby is able to digest the food, to keep the food, so that everything works fine. So we have 4 meridians, and interesting, they're all on the front. They are all on our front. And the idea is, so this is the first step. Are we able to sustain ourselves? Are we able to feed ourselves? Are we able to survive on our own? So this is really more or less the first lesson we have to master if we grow up. And if you and there are very interesting similarities, for example, to the pyramid of needs from Maslow, if you know Maslow. So here's this pyramid of our needs. And also the base of the pyramid is like the need to survive. So it goes along together with other concepts as well. And if everything is fine, those meridians can develop, come into their power, and then they also will guide our development the other way around. And so the story of the meridians is how we develop and how we master the basic life lessons we also need as humans. And I think I also use the meridians like this in my work. So if I touch a meridian or in the diagnostic, I can see, okay, maybe the topic is more or less around this meridian. And so what questions are connected with those meridian, and how much did the person master the life principle? You could say very simple level, like right now, the large intestine, we could say it's the ability of letting go, but it's also the ability to say no to something. And so if our large intestine meridian is not developed to its full power, it could be that those lessons will accompany a person throughout their life. You know, they're not able to make borders, to say no, yes, and so there will be a lot of energy bound up in this specific meridian, and so every meridian then has every meridian will show up with symptoms or problems on the different levels. So maybe on the level of the mind, we have not developed the ability to say no. So this would be one aspect. And on the bodily level, maybe we have problem with our digestion, not able to letting go, constipation and stuff like that. So I think it's very interesting.
Very, very interesting. So what do you like about Shiatsu most?
What I like most, that's a good question, because I said I also studied TCM, and I think it's the touch, touching people, and especially in the last 3 years, because TCM with acupuncture can be very effective to treat symptoms. But I think what people right now really need, they need to be touched, you know, they need to feel their body. So because I can see it with my clients, the last 3 years there has been a lot of insecurity with the changing situation, and so people build up a lot of anxiety and fear, and sometimes really also trauma because of the situation. And in anxiety, I think the energetic pattern is that we put too much energy on the outside if we have anxiety, because you always are stressed, you always have to be aware, you always have to look around. So the energy moves more to the outside of the body. But what also means that we lose the connection to the inside of the body. We lose the connection to the core of our being. And if we lose the connection to the core of our being, more insecurity will build up. And I think the special quality of Shiatsu is the touch, because with the touch, we can go very deep into a person, and no matter what we do, no matter what meridian we treat, but we support the people to connect back with their inner core. And I think this is the only place that gives us stability right now in those changing times. And I also studied massage therapy, movement therapy, so I studied a lot of things, but I think this is very unique and very special in Shiatsu, because people say, you know, I don't feel myself anymore. You know, I lost myself. I don't know where I'm standing in my life right now. So people are talking about that, but just to be touched is like, I can connect back with my soul, and I think it's such interesting times, because we tackle big questions. You know, everything is changing, but I think it's our mind will not be able to find all the answers or all the solutions, because sometimes it's too much to create an order in the mind. So we have to connect to another place, maybe to find solutions and perspectives in our life. And I think this place is the core or the soul or whatever you want to call it.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, Shiatsu is simple but so powerful. That's so nice. Yeah.
Yep. But that's the point. You said something very beautiful. It's simple. And I think, you know, yin and yang, if everything is complex, we need the simple things to balance ourselves, not the sophisticated things. If everything is too much complicated, the simple things will balance the people.
Wow, that's beautiful, Mike. Thank you. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear more about you and your studies and your share. Thank you so much. And see you
See you. Looking forward
soon.
to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.